So I was on a train in Japan a few years ago, and I noticed something that genuinely confused me at first. Almost everyone around me was asleep. And I don't mean the tired, mouth open, slightly embarrassing kind of sleep. I mean this quiet, composed, completely unbothered rest. Like they'd simply decided, yes, now, and their body just agreed. 20 minutes later, they were awake, alert, getting off at their stop like nothing happened. And I thought, what is that? Because I can't even nap on a Sunday afternoon in my own house without waking up feeling like I've been underground for 6 years. That moment stuck with me, and it eventually led me down a rabbit hole of understanding why some people wake up genuinely refreshed on less sleep, while the rest of us suffer through 8 hours and still drag ourselves to the kettle like we're recovering from something. Today, I want to share what I actually figured out, and none of it requires buying anything. The lie we were all sold about 8 hours. Let me start with something that took me embarrassingly long to question. We've all grown up with this idea that 8 hours is the number, sacred, non-negotiable. Sleep 8 hours or your life is falling apart. And so most of us spend years chasing this number, going to bed at the right time, waking up at the right time, and still feeling absolutely terrible. Here's what nobody really talks about. The number of hours is almost the least important part of the whole thing. What matters far more is the condition you're in when your body enters sleep, the environment your body sleeps in, and, this is the big one, the moment you wake up within your own natural rest rhythm. Think about it this way. Imagine you're watching a really good film, and someone stops it at a random point in the middle of a scene and says, "Okay, movie's over, tell me how it was." You'd feel unsatisfied, incomplete, a little annoyed. But if the same film ran for a shorter time and ended at a natural stopping point, credits roll, the story closed properly, you'd walk away feeling like it was worth your time. Your sleep works almost exactly like that. Your body moves through its own internal rhythm through the night, and if something pulls you out mid-rhythm, it doesn't matter how many hours you clocked. You'll feel cut off, unfinished, like a film stopped mid-scene. Wake up when your body is naturally surfacing, even if that's at 5.5 hours, and you feel completely different. I want to tell you about someone I know well. I'll call her Emma. Emma was one of those people who made sleep her whole personality. In bed by 9:30, asleep by 10, up at 7. That's 9 hours, and she was exhausted every single morning without exception. Grumpy in a way that was almost impressive, like she had committed to it. She'd tried everything: melatonin, no screens, herbal tea that smelled like a garden had an identity crisis. Nothing worked. And then one evening we were just talking and she mentioned, casually, that she always seemed to wake up naturally around 5:30 a.m. Bright, clear, ready. But she'd force herself back to sleep because that's not enough hours. So she was waking up feeling good and then voluntarily going back to sleep and ruining it. When she finally started just getting up at 5:30, not fighting it, not negotiating with herself, everything changed. She was getting less sleep by the clock. She was functioning better than she had in years. Her body had been telling her something for a long time. She'd just been too committed to the number to listen. The lesson here isn't sleep less. The lesson is your body has a timing that belongs specifically to you. And the moment you stop forcing it into a shape that looks right on paper, things start to actually work. Why you feel worse after a weekend of long sleep. Okay, this one I find genuinely fascinating and also slightly annoying, because once you know it, you can't unknow it. Have you noticed that after a weekend where you slept in both days, properly slept in, noonish, very committed, Monday morning is somehow worse than usual? Like you've actually moved backwards? Here's what's happening. Your body keeps time, internally. It has an invisible clock that it relies on, not the one on your wall, but one running quietly inside you that expects consistency. Same rough time to sleep, same rough time to wake. When that clock is consistent, everything downstream of it works better. Your mood, your focus, your appetite, even how quickly your body temperature adjusts in the morning. When you sleep in dramatically on weekends, you're essentially giving yourself a very mild version of jet lag, twice a week, every week. And then wondering why Mondays feel like arriving in a new time zone with no luggage. The people who consistently wake up feeling good, and I've paid close attention to this, almost all share one quiet habit. Their wake time barely moves. It might shift by 30 minutes at most. Not because they're disciplined robots, but because they've noticed, usually through accidental experience, that consistency in the morning is what makes everything else feel manageable. You don't have to go to bed at the same time every night. That's harder to control. But protecting your wake time, even on weekends, is genuinely one of the simplest things you can do, and it costs nothing. What the first 10 minutes are actually doing to you. Let's talk about the part of your day that nobody takes seriously enough. The first 10 minutes after you wake up are not throwaway time. They're not the buffer before your real day starts. They are actively setting the chemical tone for the next several hours. And what you do in that window either works with your body or against it. Most of us, and I include myself in this for longer than I'd like to admit, wake up and immediately hand those 10 minutes to something external. The phone, the news, a notification, someone else's urgency. Before we've even fully arrived in the day, we're already reacting to it. And the body, which is still in the process of waking up, registers that as stress. Not dramatically, not in a way you'd consciously notice, but there's a difference between a body that wakes up gently and a body that wakes up into immediate noise, and that difference quietly follows you for hours. A neighbor of mine, older gentleman, always seems unhurried, which in itself is suspicious, told me once that he spends the first 10 minutes of every morning just sitting near his window with nothing in his hands. Not meditating in any formal way, just sitting, letting his eyes adjust to the light, letting his thoughts arrive slowly rather than being summoned all at once. He said, and this stuck with me, "I like to meet the day before it meets me." I thought that was a bit much at the time. Then I tried it for a week, and I understood completely. Light, stillness, and a slow entry into the morning are not luxuries. They're the difference between a day you lead and a day that drags you through it. 3 things that are quietly wrecking your sleep quality. 1. You're eating too close to when you sleep. Not for diet reasons, for mechanics reasons. When you eat late and then lie down, your body is running 2 big operations at once, digestion and rest. And they genuinely compete. Your core temperature stays elevated, your organs stay busy, and the quality of your deep sleep, the part that actually restores you, suffers for it. Moving your last meal even 45 minutes earlier than usual makes a noticeable difference within a few days. Not dramatic, but real. 2. Your room is too warm and you don't realize it. Most people sleep in rooms that are slightly too warm for genuinely deep rest. Your body needs to cool down a little to shift into its deepest phases of sleep. Not cold, just cooler than you think. Cracking a window, one less layer on the bed, a small fan in summer. These aren't comfort preferences. They're actually changing what happens inside your body while you sleep. One of the most consistently underrated adjustments there is. 3. You have no ending to your day. You just stop. You're busy, then you're horizontal, then apparently you're supposed to be asleep. And you wonder why your brain won't cooperate. Your mind needs a gap, a real one, between the last active thing you did and the moment you're asking it to shut down. Even 15 minutes of something genuinely low stimulation, not scrolling, not TV that requires your attention, just something quiet that signals to your body, we are done now. That gap changes how quickly you fall asleep and how deeply you go once you do. Here's the thing I want to leave you with. Good sleep isn't a reward for exhaustion. It's not something that just happens to you when you finally run out of energy. It's something you either set up, quietly, in small ways, consistently, or you don't. And if you don't, you can spend years sleeping long hours and waking up tired and genuinely not understanding why. The people who sleep less and feel better aren't lucky. They're not wired differently. They've just, mostly by accident, through trial and error, stumbled onto a few habits that work with the body instead of against it. You now know what those habits are. Pick one, not five. Just one thing from today that you'll actually try. Because one real change beats a list of 10 things you'll forget by the weekend. And if you wake up tomorrow feeling like a version of yourself you actually like, that's all the proof you need. See you in the next one.